All right, welcome back to Bayou Time, and just some important things that I really wanted to talk about because for years, people have asked me about hurricane coverage and the stick and just about everything you can ask a person about hurricanes. But I was so intrigued about Hurricane Ida and Hurricane Ian that we sat down this morning, the crew and we started putting some things together because to me, Ida and Ian, there you go, right there, tell a huge story for Terrebonne and Lafourche and St. Mary. And you may say, why? Because look at these two storms. They're sister storms when you really look at them. There's a little difference, obviously. Ian had a bigger eye. Ida had a smaller eye. But when you look at the comparisons, let's bring up the comparisons. Ida wins at 150, and that's a crock because we all know the winds here at HTV were 160 for 6 hours. Ida one day will be a Cat 5. Ian had winds of 155. The pressure, Ida had 929 millibars. Ian had 936. The storm surge, we know we had 16 feet in Bayou Lafourche because we had it on the HTV cameras. It was 5 feet above the well marks. They had 12 to 18 in Florida. The wind field, tropical storm winds 150 miles out of Ida, 175 miles out on Ian. But the hurricane force winds in Ida were 50 miles. In Hurricane Ian, they were 45 miles. Ida had a smaller eye wall. It was more intense. The eye wall in Ian was 34 miles. The rainfall, definitely Ian had more rainfall. Joining me now from out of town is the president of the Terrebonne Parish Levee District, Tony Alford. Before I ask Tony question one, he's with his lovely wife, Glenda, out of town. They've been gracious enough to join us. I want to say this, that we are very fortunate to have Tony as the president of the Levee District, because when I tell you he's been a bulldog and he spent many nights pressing the feds, the Levee District themselves, the legislators, the governors, the people in charge, the Corps of Engineers, our senators, you name it, he's really pressed them to get some projects done. So Tony, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Martin. You're too kind. I appreciate that.
Well, no, it needs to be said because often too many people take credit for things that they should take some credit for, but the guy driving the bus, I'm talking to him right now. You're a big part of it, and we appreciate it. And a lot of things would not have been done without your leadership. But you've heard me explain Ida and Ian. And the reason I'm doing this show, we're going to do 3 parts with you, then we'll be joined by Reggie and Gordy, is because if we would not have had levees and floodgates and water control structures in Terrebonne, Lafourche, and St. Mary for that nature, we would have looked like Florida looks like today. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yeah, they talk about us being on the coast, and we are on the coast. But boy, you can't get any more on the coast than those places in Florida, you know, without levees and not much of a buffer between the Gulf and them, right?
Let me ask you this, because, you know, when you go to Fort Myers and you look at Fort Myers and they're unprotected and the water went in, it was the water that killed a lot of people in Ian. I mean, a lot of people drowned. And the water is such a killer. There you see it. It's really unprotected. They had one big area where it came in. We have several bayous and canals in Terrebonne Parish that were once unprotected till a bunch of people got involved and made it happen. And I remember when we had the time for action and it was time for Tony Alford to say a few words, you basically told the feds, step aside, we don't need your money, we could do it on our own. And basically that happened for a long number of years, but now we're seeing us swinging things, aren't we?
I was a lot younger, and when I got off stage, I said, what the hell did I say that for? Because we were trying to get money at the time, right? From Washington. And of course, give credit where it's due. You know, of course, We had a great leader. You know, Gordy was really making some things happen already. And, you know, look, you put a big function on when that took place, you know, where we were, you know, we were sending that to Washington, and you put that big situation on at the Civic Center. And, you know, I really didn't realize how true that would be, you know, that we weren't going to get the money. It was going to be a long time. And give credit to the Terrebonne Parish, to Lafourche, even St. Mary, for stepping up and, you know, taxing themselves. Terrebonne taxed themselves twice. And without those tax dollars, we would not be anywhere close to where we are right now. And, you know, again, we were authorized at $500 million, then $800 million 7 years later, and then it went to $10 billion. That's when we realized that we better start doing something without the Corps and start getting the permits and start building this thing, because at that point we had no hope. $10 billion from a cost benefit ratio just won't happen. You just never could get the feds behind that. And of course, going back and forth to Washington, we were able to get that number down to $3 billion, which is still a lot of money. From the before Katrina and Rita, it was,
let's do this, Tony, because I got to take a mandatory break. I'm gonna come right back to you. I want people to really understand the logistics of what y'all been able to pull off here, because we would look like Florida today if not for a lot of hard work. We'll be right back with Tony Alford. Don't go away.
Don't give up. At Waits & Downer Law Firm, we want to make sure that you have all the facts when dealing with your insurance company. We have the legal experience and ability to make them pay. Get the help you need. At Waits & Downer, it's our goal to not only get you a full damage recovery, but to get the insurance company to reimburse your legal fees. Call today for a free consultation. We are local and we are here to stay. Let our years of experience work for you.
All right, welcome back. We're talking with Tony Alford. Of course, he has a very successful business here in Terrebonne Parish, but he took over the role as the president of the Terrebonne Levy District. And by the way, he does it without taking monies. I want to add that also. Tony, I remember the night we were all crying in the milk when that first tax didn't go through, wondering how would it ever get done, and decided to try it again and try it again. The model that Terrebonne Parish has, and Lafourche Parish is a whole different phenomenon. They have wonderful levies there too, but different means to get to each of these levy systems, including St. Mary Parish. But the model, now that everybody's watching Florida, and of course our thoughts and our prayers go out, we know what's going on in Florida today. We know how they're feeling. We know what they're trying and what they're up against, and our prayers are certainly with them. But Florida has so many delegates that can turn heads in a room. Louisiana doesn't have as many delegates. But now, all the work that y'all have done to make Terrebonne Parish a model in the levy system is now going to get noticed, because I promise you, eyes from all over the country are now going, you know what? Down in Terrebonne Parish, in Lafourche Parish, they have incredible protection systems. I guarantee you, more federal monies are going to start going to protection of people's properties.
Well, it's a good model. It's, what we've done is, instead of waiting around for the cavalry, I call the Corps, right, or the feds, we moved forward and we started building this levy to core criteria with our tax dollars in the state. Now, the state matched us dollar for dollar, but we built it to core criteria, and I think we basically have accomplished over 100 miles of levee to core criteria, 10 to 12 feet. We're far from finished, but I think a lot of that and everything that we've done as a parish has really gotten the feds to look at this thing. and see what a great job we've done. Although there's a lot of work left, we still have to raise those levees and build a few more floodgates and then a coastal. And so there's a lot of work left to do, but it shows that if you pull up your bootstraps around the country and tackle it as a community, that the cavalry might show up. And if they don't, you have some protection in place, regardless of whether they show up or not.
Let's think about it and let's be honest, because I remember when the Weather Channel was on for Ida, and of course we have all the monitors in here in the studio, and I won't even say the name of the person that said it on the Weather Channel because I don't want to even give him credit. But he said the water would be all the way to Terrebonne Parish. He was assuming we had no levee protection because they were looking at the old maps and the maps that don't really recognize the fact that we had it. With that said, though, if we would not have flood protection in Terrebonne Parish and Ian or Ida comes, floating around, we are going to have water all the way through Houma, Summerfield, Terrebonne High, and that's a given. So these levee systems really saved this parish.
Really did. And of course, within a 12-year period, we had CBDG money that the parish put on the ground, around the separate communities, the 5 bayous, brought those levees up to 10 feet. At the same time, we were pushing to get the outside levee, Morganza to the Gulf, 12 feet. And, we put a lot of protection in place in a very short period of time with a lot of good, great engineers and a lot of help, a lot of work.
We could name a lot of people. And of course, I know Reggie and Window are coming on, and they've been around for a while. But the people that have really been in there, and I've really watched you, and I've been a big fan of you. I'm a friend of yours, but I'm a fan of yours because I watched you relentlessly go through this. I remember when we had Time for Action and Governor Blanco landed in a helicopter. A lot of people don't realize she brought $10 million. And that seed money, I mean, you just were throwing out the figures of what's been done since. That was seed money back then, the billions of dollars that have come from the governors and Governor Jindal. And look, our current governor, John Bell Edwards, has given money. Chip Klein, like you said, has been involved in the process. But y'all have developed a chemistry where they saw the fact of how hard y'all were trying to get things done. They couldn't tell you no. And so that's the point I'm trying to get at.
We've had a lot of support, on a state level for sure. And the governor's been great. All the governors, all the way back to Foster, right? Who sort of got this thing headed in the right direction a little bit. But, when they started matching us dollar for dollar, we had enough money to start making some things happen. And, it's just been great support. Chip Klein does a great job on a state level. We're real anxious to work with the Corps of Engineers. And of course, we got $380 million finally, from the feds, and we're ready to put it on the ground. This is a learning situation, though, because I'm just going to call it like I see it. They're a lot slower than we are. And you go to a lot more meetings to get certain things done. But we're going to work with them, and we're going to try to be a good partner with them. But it's a lot different.
All right, hold that thought, Tony. We're going to come back for segment 3 with you. Once again, Tony Alford, the president of the Levee District. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Looking to achieve a healthier lifestyle but have little time? The Terrebonne General Executive Health Program can improve your overall health for a lifetime in one visit. With little to no waiting, you get a whole year of wellness in one convenient location. Our preventative screenings increase your well-being by providing early detection against illness. With exceptional VIP service, you leave with a plan in hand to achieve a healthier lifestyle tailored for you. Call the Terrebonne General Executive Health Team at 985-850-6204 today.
All right, welcome back. We continue to talk with Tony Alford, the president of the Terrebonne Parish Levee District. we know now. Go back to Tony, because Tony, I know you've heard it. First of all, I want to thank your wife, and I want to thank the wives of other people who are involved in politics and husbands where the wives serve, because there's a lot of sacrifice. There's a lot of meetings you all go to, and so it takes teamwork in the family. So first of all, we appreciate the spouses for that. But looking ahead, so much is left to do, but boy, we are turning the curve. And I'll say it again. I've heard people ask me 1,000 times, what do you think we'd look like after this storm? Well, Ida, without levees and flood control, and there's some places in Terrebonne that got the reverse head. We know that. But we learn from that. We're moving forward. It's a fluid situation where you're always trying to add additional things, isn't it?
Yeah. It's, as we talked about before, the system does not come with an owner's manual, right? You learn what floodgates to close, when, and which ones to do before the others. And it's always try to be more efficient going forward. The levee board, the board members, Greg out in the field, Angela, our manager, Reggie, we've all learned a lot, and we continue to learn. As we raise these levees, there's going to be more to learn. We're building that big lock in the navigational canal, $420 million coming from Restore Act money, the BP spill money. Whoever thought we'd have that kind of money coming into this parish? And that's well underway. That's going to stop even the south winds from flooding those bayous like they do now. We better close and open them readily, right?
Yeah, let me say this too, because I had a meeting with you a while back. We wanted to spruce up some cameras on the floodgates. You called the shot. You let us do it. And that is so important for people to see what their tax dollars are going through, especially in hurricanes. And I think we're not only are we the only ones with that kind of flood protection in the nation, we're the only ones that can actually watch it during a storm and see it go down. So that's going to be an educational thing for a lot of people who have to go through this.
Oh, yeah. And look, I'd like to thank you. You've been involved with this thing before I was involved, way back, trying to figure out how to do something out there as you watched one hurricane after another, even hurricanes 150 miles away flood the bayous, right? Mm-hmm. And so you've been very involved with this. Wow. And, the fact you actually put those cameras out there, and that's going to be neat, to watch. Of course, I'd rather than not be anything on those cameras, but we know that we'll continue to have hurricanes and tropical storms that we'll have to watch. And,
and as you hand off now, I mean, you have children that are going to be up and coming and taking over, parish type of activities. Other people in the levee district have the same thing. This is about legacy too. I mean, guys like us can only put in so much time and work. Then you got to hand it off. And it's for the other generation to continue to maintain these services, isn't it?
Yeah, we need to get some, we have a few younger guys on the, tenor Snacks on there. Jeff Daisy, Buddy Daisy's son. Of course, Buddy passed away a while back. We're just saying happy birthday to my vice chairman, Sue Henry, 92 years old.
Wow.
And he was the first appointed one on the levee board, right? First appointed levee board member. And so we need to get more of the young folks involved. My son sits on the airport commission. And boy, you said it all with the families. Wow. How many times Glenda and the kids had to hear me, go crazy and cry and scream and everything else that you do during the times of storms when you didn't have the flood protection. And, see everybody go underwater for Rita and Katrina times back then. It was really sad to see. And we've done a lot over time.
As we wrap up, I do remember the time that we caught you when you got locked out and you didn't realize we were on live TV at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet when you call me now, you say we're live before. I didn't think, I should have known that.
But anyway, the comparisons between Ida and Ian, it's almost the perfect 2 storms to sell the point that Terrebonne Parish without levee protection and flood control structures, and the same in Lafourche, same in St. Mary, would be obliterated today, just like Florida was. So if people in Florida are watching us on YouTube or Facebook, this may be the direction you have to go in to protect your property, not only property, your loved ones. And
Sure.
Tony, I appreciate once again you joining us. I appreciate Glenda allowing you to take some time when you're supposed to be relaxing to come on and once again talk about levees. And thank you so much for what you and the crew does.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Martin. And let's keep up the good work.
All right, there you
Let's,
have it. We'll see you when you
keep it
get
going.
back to town.
All right. Thank you.
All right, there you have it. Tony Alford, the president of the Terrebonne Parish Levee District. And I can't stress it enough, folks, that without these levee systems, and you really need to go and see these levee systems. If you live here and you have not seen them, make a point to go see them because it's your money. You're going to be just amazed at the amount of levees that protect Terrebonne Parish. And if you go up by helicopter one day and see the water on the outside, it's scary. You'll know why we spent the money on levee systems in this area. And if you forget, just look at Florida. We'll be right back.